become the thing. The thing done become the thing. The thing done become the thing. The thing done become the thing.
Hello everyone and welcome to Doing Art episode 8. My name is Lorens and this episode is with singer-songwriter Joy Ike. I met Joy in Pittsburgh and I think we've known each other for close to 15 years now. If you listen to this conversation, you will be able to tell that I am a true fan of her music. Joy is a prolific songwriter, an excellent lyricist, and an overall nice person. Joy is probably the most resilient working musician I know. She is well known in the Midwestern region of the country, and if you don't know her, I am sure you're going to know who she is soon. A little note about this episode. We recorded inside a car in front of the Rockwood Music Hall in the Lower East Side of New York City. So it has a noisy background, and as if that's not bad enough, the connection also has a cracking static noise. But apart from those minor setbacks, this was a great conversation, and Joy is a thrill to talk with, and you get to feel what I'm talking about. Joy was with her sister Peace, so every now and then you can hear her in the background. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Joy Ike, all up in your face.
No matter what you say, I'm gonna love you anyway. You know you just come and go. People are starting to think that I'm shallow, but you need someone. You need someone. You need someone.
Joy Ike, welcome to Doing Art.
Thank you. This is fun.
Yes, it should be fun. All right, so we are at the Rockwood Music Hall. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be playing tonight, right?
Yep.
Is this your first time in New York?
No, I come a couple times a year. This is my second time at Rockwood specifically.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So what are you expecting tonight?
Well, I feel like with the culture of New York, I feel like it's gonna be one of those very in and out shows. You know, I'll blink and it'll be over.
Okay,
and that's how I feel
you have to explain what you mean by that.
Well, I mean, you have an hour to set up, play, and tear down. And so it goes by so quickly. Meanwhile, it took us 2.5 hours to get in. It'll probably take 2.5 to get out. So it's a kind of an unfair exchange, but you know, we gotta play in New York, and it's always fun, and you know, it's always great to see familiar faces, and that kind of makes it worthwhile.
True. That's been one of my huge experience in New York, like the musician gig situation. You travel for an hour to get to a gig, and that gig, they don't allow you to even do any kind of testing, any kind of sound check. You know, you just put on your instrument and start playing right away, and in an hour you have to be done, whether you like it or not.
It's stressful. It is. It's like I have to mentally prepare myself to come to New York City, because I don't enjoy the culture of the music scene, but there is a lot of talent here, and I enjoy the culture of the music scene from the audience's perspective, because there's so much around here. If I were simply just a music fan and not a music performer, I think I would really enjoy that. You know, I could go into any venue at any specific time and hear something that I'd never heard before.
And as a performer, one thing I found out about New York City is that you can always find a place where people are going to pay attention. People are going to listen when you're playing your music. Yeah. It might not be the biggest place, but you'll find those kind of little spots.
Yeah.
where people will listen.
Totally. There are some really cool spots in Philly. I mean, I said Philly, in New York City, that I think are little gems. You know, the living room when it was in Manhattan, that was one of a kind. You could always go there and expect for people to listen. And you know, if you weren't a music listener or appreciator in that kind of way, then it just wasn't the venue for you. And I haven't been to the new Brooklyn location, but I believe they've maintained that, and I think that's one of the things that made that spot so unique.
Nice. There's something I noticed about New York, playing in New York, about the New York music scene. The stages are very small.
Ugh.
The stages are so tiny compared to Pittsburgh, because I just moved from Pittsburgh to New York. Compared to Pittsburgh, the stage is so tiny, and I don't know, it doesn't let you do a lot of things. Like sometimes I dance on my stage, you know, but New York doesn't allow for that, you know, unless you get the really big venues. Has that been an experience for you?
That was a huge challenge last time I was here. In fact, the last time I played at Rockwood, I played with my band. So we had a drum kit, we had my keyboard, and we had an upright bass, and we were playing stage one. Stage one has a piano, but it's not really in tune, and it's kind of old, and so we didn't use the piano. So we had to bring in, honestly, the only thing that fit on stage was myself and my bass player. We had to put the drummer on the floor, which if you've ever been in the room, it works, but it's really awkward.
Yes, it is.
So it's just, it's not ideal, but you know, that's how I feel about New York in general. It's just like everything is very tiny, and you kind of feel like you're struggling to breathe because every space is so confining, and you know.
But guess what? It's New York.
Yeah, it's New York.
Well, now let's go back to the very beginning.
Okay.
I know you're from Pittsburgh, right? So do you want to tell us where we are born, about that? About your family? Do you want to tell me?
I was actually born in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
But I've been in Pittsburgh my whole life, since age 3.
I see.
Yeah, and so I grew up in Pittsburgh, even went to college there, and just out of college is when I really started exploring music and really started to learn what I sounded like as a songwriter, and who I wanted to be as an artist. It wasn't until this past fall, about 8 months ago, that I moved to Philadelphia.
Okay.
Just kind of tiring of having lived in Pittsburgh my whole life and just being so familiar and used to that routine, but feeling like I needed to be stretched as a person and just be exposed to new places and new things. And so, I'm a newbie to Philadelphia, but, you know, Pittsburgh is still in my blood. And I love that city and all it gave to me as far as the support and the space to grow as an artist. I think maybe that Philadelphia was just the next step as far as personal growth and musical growth.
How did you make that decision? Do you just wake up one day and say, okay, I've conquered Pittsburgh? Because I know if a musician conquered Pittsburgh, it's Joy Ike. Everybody knows Joy Ike. You inspired a lot of people. You did a lot of things. I mean, I lived in Pittsburgh for 15 years, and I must say you influenced me. You influenced me to keep doing music. I mean, I can't pinpoint one thing that you did, but I can actually pinpoint a few things. Let's put it that way. Like meeting you and talking to you about booking gigs, and you referred me to a few places, and I'm sure you actually spoke to those people. I can't remember one of them now, but one of them was in Squirrel Hill. It's a cafe. It's a and when I called them, they told me Joy had talked to me about that. And
that's so sweet.
And another thing, I remember trying to book gigs, college gigs, and you sent me really good links about them and all those things. And
I don't even remember any of that.
Now that's what makes a good person. But my question was, what really happened? How did that come about, the move to Philly? Was it a spontaneous thing, or was it something you planned over a few years?
Well, I think I'm someone who really likes change. I always like every year I'm just trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I need to do in
Yeah.
order to grow as a person and in order for my music career to grow. And so I'm always like looking and reevaluating and analyzing to see, okay, what do I need to do to take the next step. And
Yeah.
so, it was the very beginning of last year. I think it was like February or March, and I was just dealing with a lot of restlessness. And in fact, that restlessness had been happening for a year at that point, but
I
it kind of culminated
Yeah.
last spring when I was just really not sure what was next, but I knew that something had to change on a grander level than in the past years. And so I started to just think about, okay, well, I think I need to move, but I don't know where I want to move. And then I started thinking about, I've been spending a lot of time on the road over the past few years. So I started thinking about, okay, where would I move? What would make the most sense career-wise?
Yeah.
What would make the most sense family-wise? All those things that you kind of think about.
Yes.
And I finally settled on Philadelphia. There weren't too many places that made sense, but one of the places that I had seriously considered was Lancaster, PA.
Yeah.
Because I'd made a lot of friends there over the years. It's a very, very
Okay.
unassuming, very artistic city. You would never
Imagine.
expect it.
Huh,
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yet it was so close to everywhere else, like so close to Baltimore.
I lived in Delaware for 2 years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it's close to
Okay.
Delaware too. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, it was like Lancaster was close to Baltimore and DC and Philly and New York City, and all those other places that I wanted to go to in the within a 5-hour radius or whatever.
Yeah.
So that made sense to me. And then of course Philadelphia had those same things to offer, except that my sister also was in Philadelphia.
Oh, yes.
So I ended up settling on Philadelphia.
Okay.
And yeah, the rest I guess is history.
Oh, nice.
8 months, yeah.
Wow. So you said you started exploring music while you were in college. You started thinking of making it a career while you were in college. So I'm assuming you didn't study music in college.
No, I didn't. I didn't study music at all. In fact, I don't think I even thought seriously about living as an artist until several years out of college, or 2, I'd say. In college is when I started to have that songwriting bug to write music, but I had stopped taking piano lessons for a very long time.
Okay.
And it took a lot. I took this intro to piano class. I think it was my senior year in college,
Right.
just to kind of relearn some of the things I'd learned as a kid.
Nice.
And I started kind of dabbling in songwriting, but I like to think of those early years as just my practice years, because I had no idea who I was as a songwriter or a musician or a performer. And it wasn't until 3 years out of college, I was working a full-time marketing job, that I decided to quit that and live as an artist. So I think the bug started early on, but it still took many years for it to be realized and for me to get on board and think, okay, this is actually something that I want to commit to and think that I can make work.
Oh, wow. Now, question. I'm sure. Okay, let me not say I'm sure. Let me just ask the question. How did your parents take that decision?
Well, whatever you were gonna say, you were probably right.
Because I'm Nigerian, and you're Nigerian. Your parents are Nigerian, so
yeah.
I just want to hear.
It was hard. I mean, when I first left my job to do music, I don't think I fully understood how hard it was going to be, but I think my parents just thought I was crazy. I don't even know if they were thinking about this was going to be a hard lifestyle. I think they just thought it was a crazy idea, because there are no Nigerians in our world that are living as artists. Everyone is living as an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or a pastor. Like I always say, you're allowed to go into ministry as the one unstable type of career, but you're not allowed to do any other type of unstable career. So so yeah, it was they kind of looked at me. I think they wanted to understand, but I think they had questioned a lot.
Yeah.
And for good reason. They came here, they put a lot of work into establishing themselves, just being here
Yeah.
and making a life out of nothing. Like they came here, didn't know anyone, they didn't have anything, and so I understand and appreciate that concern for my future.
Yeah.
Wanting me to live life to the fullest because of their hardships and what they had come from.
Yeah.
So I really respect that. Now looking back on the past and knowing that at the very the core of it, they were just worried
Yeah.
about me.
Is there any incident or any incident you remember that maybe them calling you and telling you what is wrong with you?
Well, I will say a series of incidents.
Yeah.
But it was always, so my dad's an accountant.
Oh, okay.
And so my dad does my taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So, when tax season comes and he does my taxes and he sees my annual income,
Yeah.
that's when he says, what is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you, this girl?
Yeah.
You have a degree. Do you know that?
Yeah. I mean, he always says it kindly. He always says it nicely, but it was always just like, have you thought about going back to your job?
Yeah.
that was how he would say it. And
Oh my God.
and he was worried for me. And what's so funny is that this last tax season was the first season he was like, wow, he was like, because it was a better year.
I guess this could be a job.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I think you found your niche.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
it was funny
That's
because
really good.
I noticed every year, he would just like, after we'd see what I owed the government, or or the fact that I didn't have to pay the government because I wasn't making anything, he would always say something like, what do you need to do in order to change this? Like what, always about going back and finding something that was more viable.
What was your degree in?
Communications.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I worked in public relations and marketing.
Yeah.
Just learning, helping other artists, actually authors,
Oh, nice.
promote their work,
Yeah.
doing PR for them and teaching them what it looked like to promote their work, get their name out there, and grow their brand. So a lot of things that actually transferred over to music.
Nice. Now we just talked about having that Nigerian background, the Nigerian origin. Does it? I've listened to your music, and being African, I could, or being Nigerian, I could definitely say, okay, this person has African origin. It kind of shows in the music, even though it's not that direct. It's not that you have to. It's subtle, very subtle. Yeah. Have you like consciously tried to infuse your Africanness in your music?
Yeah, that's a question I get a lot.
Okay.
And my parents for years have urged me and pretty much begged me to include a more overtly African sound into my music.
Yeah.
I really have not consciously tried to do that.
Yeah.
People have mentioned that here and there, and it's become one of those things where I really want to write music that comes to me, not music that I'm trying to force out of me.
Exactly.
And I want my music to stay as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could try and I could attempt and I could make it happen where I would fit a specific mold and appeal to a specific demographic.
Yeah.
But I feel like the day that happens is the day where I become less of Joy Ike and more of this genre type of artist or something like that.
Yes.
And I think that could happen one day, and it probably will. And I think also that kind of stuff shines more in certain songs than it does others. So it's there, but I always want it to be there organically and not purposely in a forced kind of sense or something. So I don't know. I've been really over the last couple months. I've been listening to more Afrocentric artists like Nneka and Ibeyi, and I've just been really appreciating that stuff more.
Yeah.
So I think it might come out of me just because that's what I've been putting inside lately.
I have an answer I usually give people when they ask me, why is your music not like really African? I just tell them, every music is African. I tell them all American music, isn't it, of African origin?
Yeah, it's true.
Finally,
It's true.
yeah.
Especially like jazz, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
blues. Yeah, so true.
Now let's talk about your work. Okay. I'm a fan. You know that. I always come out and fan out at any show, any of your shows that I can make. I'm a stand. That's what the kids call it these days. I don't know if you
A
know
stand?
a stand. Yeah.
Oh,
Have you heard of
that?
it? Have you heard of it, Joy? Please. No. Okay. Like Beyonce stands are called the beehives. You know?
Oh, I've never
okay.
heard that
Don't even worry about it. You don't need to know that. Okay. All right. So, how many albums do you have now? What?
So there's three
Three
but
of them.
only two that I like. So
Okay.
I only talk about two of them.
Okay.
Don't tell them that.
Yeah. How about we make this about me? This just 2 minutes about me.
Okay.
I'm going to list the songs that I
Okay.
really like. The first one is Squirrel Hill. I can't remember how it goes. It's a very
wow.
short song. I think it's in your first album.
That was on my.
Is that one of the albums you don't like?
That's that's the. I
Oh
mean,
my
that doesn't
God.
even fall. That's not even in the 3 album
I
category.
love that song.
was like the EP that came out before anything official.
I actually bought that album.
Oh, I hate that album.
All right, and then there's another one that I like. I think the name of the album is it Good Morning? Good Morning?
Yeah, that's the other one I
Okay.
don't talk about.
This song, it goes like this. At age 5 I was making spaghetti.
Yeah.
That's the beginning. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
So I think it's called Hey, Where Are the Kids? Do you want
Yeah.
to talk about that song? I
You know
really
what?
love that song.
That's a fun song, actually. And you know what? You know, the songs in the album, I don't hate the songs. I just
Yeah.
didn't like the
production.
arrangement and
It
the
happens.
production.
It happens.
Yeah. And, you know,
I had
God.
to pull one of my albums from iTunes.
Oh, yeah. I did too. That album. I pulled it from iTunes. I did. And, you know, the producer I worked with on that
Yeah.
song, he was so wonderful. But I had no idea who I was as an artist. That was like my first real undertaking of creating an album. And so he didn't really know what to do because I didn't know what to do. And I think he was just trying to make something that was like an album and like that. In the end of the day, like all the songs like fit together and made sense.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to offer him any direction or any help, and I think that was very frustrating for him. So, you know, when I think about it from that perspective, I could say that album turned out really well because if he
I
hadn't
like
been
it.
in it,
I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about, Joy.
It's so
I love that album.
Oh,
I like it.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk a little bit about that song?
Oh,
Just for
sure.
me?
Yeah, that song's "Hey, Where Are the Kids," and
Yeah.
I was volunteering with an organization in Pittsburgh called Urban Impact,
Okay.
and you know, it was just there were so many kids that would come through Urban
Yeah.
Impact's facilities, I guess, on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And coming from all different types of backgrounds and all different types of home experiences, and I just kind of felt the need to write a song about how kids are growing up too fast, and or the fact that kids are just being exposed to things that they shouldn't be, and just dealing with things they shouldn't be. So
I
the song
see.
was just about kids growing up too fast,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
thinking about like the implications of that on the future, like what
Yeah.
it looks like when your kids grow up too fast and they
Yeah.
become adults before
Yeah.
they're even teenagers.
Oh wow, nice. Do you want to talk about your other albums, the one you like?
Yes, I like. Yeah, since that album, since Good Morning, I've put out 2
Yeah.
other albums.
Mhm.
Rumors, which came out in 2010, and Rumors was about, you know, I titled the Rumors album, the album Rumors purposely because the songs kind of all fit this theme of finding the truth in the midst of lies. And there are a bunch of key songs in the album. One of them being "Give Me Truth," which I feel like that's the song I always reference when I'm trying to paint a picture of what the album is about. And it's just about being in this place where you don't have a footing on what's real and what's not anymore, because everyone's saying something, and everyone thinks that they're right, and everyone thinks that they're telling the truth. But then again,
And everyone think they can advise you.
yeah, you know, and then again too, it's like everyone, after a while, what people say is truth starts to change.
Yeah,
You know, after
true.
you know something else happens and something else comes along. And that album, I think, also had a lot to do with like or it was written when social media was like really starting to blow up. Like this was like 2008 to 2011. And I remember one of the songs on the album was just talking about how, things are always changing and things are getting noisier and louder, and it's like it's getting harder to find the truth because there's just so much that you're bombarded with every day. And so I think that's like one of the things about social media. It's like everyone thinks they're an expert when they have a voice, quote unquote, a voice. So
everyone has followers.
I don't know. So that album had a lot to do with like finding the true voice, and so it had a very like spiritual God perspective on what does it look like to follow the voice of the Lord in the midst of the world and everything that the world throws at you.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's a song I like in that album. Yeah. I've been listening to all your songs, Joy.
Oh,
it's not creepy, right?
Not creepy.
There's this song. It's called. I don't know what it's called, but the beginning gets me.
Okay.
How she floats.
Oh yeah, How She Floats, which is also on the Rumors album.
Okay.
And that album was also about my brother. Had a lot to do about my brother who passed away.
Oh.
I don't even remember. It was like 2 years before it came out, but the songs that I was writing was during that time when he was struggling and fighting for his life.
Yeah.
And that song specifically
Closer,
was about staying afloat when you feel like you're sinking. And it talked about just the hard several years in our family's life and what it looks like to believe in God when you feel like that foundation's been shaken. So it was that song is definitely very like, it's one of the cornerstones of that album.
Nice.
But as a whole, it kind of also helps to paint the picture of the whole Gimme Truth, Rumors theme going through it, just trying to figure out, what do I believe and, where do I stand on a lot of things and stuff.
Nice.
And then 3 years later, I put out another album, All or Nothing, which is my most current album.
Okay.
And is my favorite. And this one's a love album, and it's called All or Nothing, and it's just about relationships and what it looks like to give everything you have towards something, or not do it at all because you don't care enough about it, or because you're really not in it. And so the album is really about relationships, but relationships in every way, whether it be intimate romantic relationships or learning to just love people fully and wholeheartedly, and just like being in a couple other things that contributed to the idea of All or Nothing was I was in this season where I was trying to figure out if I really wanted to stick with music or if I wanted to give up. And like, the whole idea of how much do I love this? Am I married to this? Do I care about it enough to keep it going, or am I over it? So all of those things kind of played into that album. So I don't know.
Nice. I want to talk a little bit about your songwriting process. Whenever I listen to your music, I see this richness in lyrics. So I was wondering, does it start with being driven by the lyrics, or do you think of everything together? I know when I write songs, I'm not too lyrically driven. I think of the music, the melody. I get the melody and then write chords that fit with the melody and then try to put words to it. But I see that yours is like melodically rich, yet it's really, really rich when it comes to lyrics. Do you want to talk about your creation process?
I've started to notice that songs for me start with an idea that will take a long time to develop. And many times an idea will come which will lead to like a key lyric, like maybe it'll be the hook or it'll just be a chorus or just something that will stick. And then I'll go to the piano and start toying around trying to figure out, how to work those two things together, the melody and the words. And then I'll linger on the piano for a while just to figure out, okay, where do I want to go from here? How do I want to fill this out and make it a whole song?
Oh, nice.
And after that, I'll go back to fill in with the lyrics.
Nice.
And that kind of changes and varies from song to song, but it's been following that kind of flow.
Okay.
I tend to, lyrics are my favorite part, but I tend to like to focus on the music first. Because I always consider myself primarily a lyricist.
Okay.
And so I tend to like to figure out the music first. So that way I can spend time focusing
on the lyrics
afterwards.
Nice.
Because it's one of those things where if I figure out the lyrics, it's hard to put that into a mold of music that's already been figured out.
I see.
So I tend to like to figure out the mold first and then go back and fill in the holes and change words along the way. And that always changes. And a lot of times, if I'm writing something and it doesn't sound right, it doesn't fit right, or it sounds too cliche, I'll just put it down and leave it until I'm ready to work on it. Right now I'm working on a song that I wrote over 2 years ago. And the song was completely done, actually. I was writing it for this advocacy organization in Washington, D.C. called Bread for the World. And they wanted a song for a compilation album to talk about the advocacy things that they were doing overseas. And
did you record it?
I did. Is
it Survivor?
No. It's not even, no one's ever heard it, actually, except for my sister. But I didn't put it out because I wasn't happy with the final product. And so I asked them not to use it, and they were respectful of that.
Wow.
But the thing with that song was that it was created because it was created in a hurry. It was created on a short time frame, and it didn't feel right at the time. I loved the song. I loved everything about the song, but it just didn't feel right, and I didn't feel like developed enough. But it was about injustice and learning to fight for justice.
Nice.
And I just brought it back out after all the things that have been happening in the U.S., with things going on in Baltimore, things going on in Missouri. And it just, I was writing this Facebook post like a week and a half ago, and I all of a sudden remembered the song, and I was like, okay, wow, this is like the time to work on it because I feel like I can give it my energy because that's where my head is right now. And so a lot of songs tend to follow that route where I'll work on it, but I'm not in it at that moment. So I'll put it away for however long I need to until, different things that are happening in the world or happening in my life start to become more prevalent, and then I am in that mindset or that space to work on it again.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask a question about your tours. I just looked at your website and you are like all over the place. So you don't have to go too deep into this, but I was just wondering, do you have say an agency that helps you plan your tour? Do you have just talk about it. Do you do it yourself? Do you just call up people and tell them, hey, I want to play there?
Yeah, well, it's a mix of things. I mean, so for colleges, I play a lot of universities during the school year. I work with a college agency that has really helped to open the door into that world. As far as every other type of show, the house concerts, the clubs, the coffee houses, all of that I do on my own still.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, and it's a mix of calling and finding out who the right contact person is, or emailing and figuring out who do I need to who handles booking or who's the talent buyer at this specific venue. So it just varies.
And sometimes you usually maybe share a date with other musicians, you tour with them. How does that come about? Are these usually people who have been friends for a while, or are they people who you like their work and you would
that varies too from place to place.
Okay.
I seem to always be spending time on other artists' websites just because of the nature of going to a venue, and then on the venue's homepage, I'll be like, oh, that artist is playing there. She looks kind of cool. Maybe I'll check her stuff out and see what she sounds like.
Nice.
And I have this like super duper extensive like list of artist sites that I've bookmarked over the years now. So, I'll go to a new city, and if I don't know, a friend in that town already that I could split the show with, then I'll reach out to an artist on that database. And they're just people whose music I like. And most importantly, I think it's just about finding artists who have a sound that's similar to yours.
Yes.
Because you want to make sure that you're bringing out the same
kind of people.
Music appreciators. So that definitely plays a huge role into it.
Great. Now, I want to talk about your social media presence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you are really present, and I really like it. And I feel like I could learn a few things from you. Starting with your email, the way you answer emails, it's like in hours, in maybe in an hour you reply, even if you're on the road. So I really appreciated that. When I was emailing you, I was waiting. I was saying, okay, maybe if she replies in 3 days, we'll figure out how to do this. And then I checked, like a few hours later, and you've already replied, and that's unusual. And your website, I'm gonna use another word that I'm sure you've heard this. So your website is on fleek. Have you heard of on
I've
fleek?
never heard that term either.
Where do you guys live?
Well, not in New York, obviously.
New York. It's on point.
I love it. I love it.
Look up on Fleek.
On
you
Flick.
will laugh.
All right.
After looking it up, you will bust out laughing. Not because of what it means, but because of the fact that I'm using it. It doesn't sound like a word I should be using. Yeah. Do you have do you just work on your website yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I like my social media presence is so important to me because I mean, everyone's on the internet these days, and I don't know who said this years ago, but it has stuck with me ever since. It went something like, more people will listen to you online than will ever listen to you in person. True. No matter how much you play, no matter if you make it famous, people will find your music and listen to you on YouTube more than they will ever come to a concert. You could get 10,000 people at a concert, but there's like 10 million people online. There's actually more than that. True. So it's so important for me to keep my social media presence up to date. As soon as a new interview comes out, I put it on my website so that people know what's happening and what's new. As soon as a new show is booked, I'll put it on so people know when to look for me next in their city. I try and keep my Facebook page as updated as possible because people are always visiting it, and if I don't keep it updated, then people don't have a reason to visit. So I always want people to have a reason to come back. And that's why that's so important to me. Nice.
I wanted to ask a few I don't know, for lack of a better word, I would say philosophical questions. As we've touched on the topic of how difficult being a musician is. What keeps you going? I just want to know. And have you encountered any major setbacks in your journey towards becoming the artist that you are today? Have you encountered any major setbacks, and how did you deal with them? Maybe just if you can tell me just one of them. You don't even have to be specific. You could just talk about it in passing.
You know what? I feel like there's always major setbacks, and there can be small or they can be big. But the thing about major setbacks is in and of themselves are not big deals, but they make you start to think about the future. They make you start to think, oh my gosh, how long do I have to keep doing this? How long till something happens and I have to I don't have to drive 5 hours to play for 1 hour for 5 people. So the fact that 5 people are coming to the show in and of itself isn't what hurts, even though that's painful. It's just the thinking of, oh my gosh, this will never change, and I don't know why the heck I'm still doing this. Why would I keep doing this and putting myself through this misery? So I feel like it's a setback on a grander scale, not knowing what the future holds in that kind of way. And it's really been a mentality shift for me over the years, trying to understand the importance of making the most of every opportunity, and knowing that when people come out, they're coming out because they really want to be there, and
Yes.
because they really appreciate what you do
True.
and want to give towards it, whether it be financially or just with their support and appreciation. And so I've become much less focused on these like illusions of grandeur, and really focused on enjoying the moment. And there's a song I wrote called Sweeter, that I never really knew how important the song was going to be for me until like maybe like 4 years in, when I was going through some very difficult times musically, and I was just the song is about learning to enjoy the journey instead of the destination. And that has just become like my life, learning how to learning how to not focus on, oh, I hope I become famous. Oh, I hope that this big thing breaks, and all of a sudden that this one interview is going to create mass exposure, and my website's going to blow up. And I don't really care about those things anymore. I want to grow as an artist, but it's not about living for those big opportunities, just living for those fans that will come out to your show, and those fans who, like my last time at Rockwood, after we played, we were parked like 5 blocks away, and myself and my bandmates had to walk 5 blocks with an upright bass, a keyboard, a drum kit. Like we made multiple trips, but at the end of the show, we had 12 people pick up pieces of our gear, and we just walked a caravan all the way back to the car, and it was just like one of those moments where I was just like, man, these people, like, they want to do what they can, and it's not about those big, corporations or the people who have big money and can promote you really well. It's just about the fans.
Yes.
So yeah.
And sometimes it's actually just better, like whenever we start contemplating on whether we should keep doing what we're doing as artists, it's good to actually just look back maybe a few years ago and say, okay, look at where I was, and look at where I am now, and it's usually an organic process. Nothing happens overnight.
It's true. And that's the thing. It's just like, if there's anything that I have learned, it's just consistency.
Yes.
And
you are consistent, Joy.
So
Joy
funny.
is consistent.
Yeah.
You
have to be. It's like, as long as you keep doing it, you can't go backwards. Like you can only go forward.
True.
And
True.
That's the beautiful thing about it. And big things, big opportunities will come, and they have come.
Yeah.
But they only happen if you just keep staying consistent at it and keep staying determined.
Have you ever had to turn down a gig?
Yes. And many. there are kind of certain shows that I just won't do anymore.
I see.
It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm better than that. It's like I really need to like take care of my time, the little time that I have, in order to make sure that the types of shows I'm doing are life-giving. And they make me enjoy what I do, so that it stays something that I want to do for a long time.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question that I usually ask, and most of the people that have come on the podcast. What does success mean to you?
Oh, you know what? It's it has a lot to do with a lot of the stuff we were just talking about.
Yes.
I really want to make an impact in people's life with my music.
Nice.
I want to create thought-provoking music. I want to be like real with people. I want them to hear my music and to be brought to tears because it's something that they understand and identify with, or they feel helps them, be better, or helps them, handle whatever it is they're going through in life. And I want my music to be able to give life to people where they're experiencing death, where they're experiencing, just hardness or difficulty in life in general. I just want it to add beauty to the world.
Nice.
And I guess I don't know if that really answers what I think success is.
I get it.
Yeah, but I do. I think at this point in my life, it's not about becoming famous. It's not about playing on a really large stage. It's just about being able to connect with people and to feel like to leave feeling like I've made a difference in someone's life. So yeah.
Does validation matter to you? How do you take validation? Does it either validation or lack of it thereof? I'm asking because I remember reading on your Facebook page once and I laughed. I couldn't stop laughing. You told a story of somebody who had the name Joy Ike. He probably thought of Joy Ike. I think he was Nigerian, and he was maybe you won't even remember this. So if you don't remember, just let's just get rid of it. But I remember reading it, and he was expecting some R&B singer, maybe R&B African singer, and then he came and saw you playing the piano, and I think he just couldn't handle the fact that you were playing the piano and singing or something like that. That he said it sounded so folksy or something like that he didn't expect that from a black person. What kind of music is this or something like that? So I don't know if you remember. You probably don't.
I don't know. I mean, because that's how type of thing happens all the time. So.
Okay. But I remember reading it a few years ago, and I was laughing. I laughed my butt off. I'm like, Anyway, so does validation from, be it from family or from friends or from fans, what does it do? Does it help you keep pushing, or are you the kind of person that just does what she wants to do?
I mean, validation does matter because you want people who are on your side and believe in what you're doing. Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think it really comes down to like how much do you care about what you're doing? Because there are times when no one's going to give you validation. Yeah. There are times when this was happening a lot for me, especially in 2011 was like the year where I had referenced earlier about trying to figure out if I wanted to keep doing this or not. It was a really hard year for me. Musically, just trying to understand how much I loved music. And that was the year where I felt like I wasn't getting a lot of validation. And I would wake up in the morning and I have to make so many decisions on my own about, okay, what do I want to do with my music? How do I want to make this happen? Do I want to go on this tour? If I want to go on this tour, where am I going to play on this tour? Once I figure that out, how am I going to promote it? And once I figure that out, where am I going to sleep? All these things. It's just like it was just like a lot of mental fatigue of just like, oh, there's so much and no one else is going to do it if I don't do it. And so at that point I just learned, if you don't believe in what you're doing, it doesn't matter whether or not other people believe in it or not, because you have to care enough about it to keep going, because there will be times when no one else is going to give you that push, and you just need to know that you care enough about it to keep going. And I think that a lot of times too, especially with art, people are just like weird about you doing things like they don't want to support it until it gets big. They're not your fan until you're quote unquote successful. And if you're not successful, then they kind of disappear, and then whenever something big happens, they kind of show up. So it's really about knowing that you care enough about what you're doing, because that's what's going to keep it going. True. And it also, I know I'm rambling, but I think
no, pleplease keep talking. It's
one
your
of
hour.
well, one of the things that is so important to me is like figuring out the why. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? And I ask myself this question when I think about, okay, why am I doing this gig? Why am I doing this interview? What am I doing certain things? In fact, someone asked to interview me a couple days ago, and this media, this television station in Pittsburgh, and they've always been incredibly supportive. But I said no, and it wasn't because I didn't want to do it. It was because I spent so much time focusing on Pittsburgh for the most of my life, living in Pittsburgh in the art scene. I said, I really think I just need to focus on new markets. I need to focus on places where I feel like I have material to share. Pittsburgh has heard everything, until I put new material out, it doesn't make sense to do another interview in Pittsburgh to the same audience. And so, so all that to say, you know, the why is so much more important than the what.
Yes.
You have to figure out why you're doing what you're doing, because that's also what's going to fuel you and keep you going. If you don't have a why, then I think it's important to figure that out.
Yes.
So that you can keep going. Because the what is the music. Anyone can play music. Anyone can show up and play an instrument. But what is your purpose? Like, why do you love it so much, and why do you care about sharing it with other people?
Oh, that's so good. That's so nicely put. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go to the fun parts of the of the podcast. So, do you have any story for us? I call it the "No You Didn't"
No,
story.
you didn't.
Yeah. NYD.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about this over the week, and I feel like this one isn't really all that interesting, but
just. It's your story, yeah.
Yeah, well, this actually happened last weekend. My sister and I had a show at it was a church in the Philly area, and there is a couple that comes to all of our Philly shows.
Oh, wow.
They come to all of our Philly shows. They're old enough to be our parents. They could totally be our parents, and like they just love music, and they don't hide it. So they hoot and they holler, you know, they clap, they sing along. And, you know, in the middle of I finished one of my songs, and I just told everyone in the audience, I was like, those two people are not our parents. I just want you to know that. Yeah. And, you know, I kind of wanted to clarify that, they're just really super passionate fans and everything. But the way I said it... The way I said it, the audience like busted out laughing, and I kind of felt like I embarrassed them.
They feel like they were doing too much.
Yeah,
like,
you know.
Did you get a chance to talk to them?
I did. I talked to them afterwards. But the funny thing about it, you know, they were okay. They brushed it off. But the funny thing about it was the husband came to me afterwards, and he was like, "Remind me to never sit in the front seat again."
Oh my gosh!
And so he's like, "And if I do sit in the front seat, tell me to get up so someone else can experience the front seat."
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
So I felt a little stupid about that because you know they just wanted to support and they just love our music. So.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm sure they really understand.
Yeah, I think they were okay with it.
And the good thing is that you immediately after saying it, you realize how they would have felt.
Yeah.
You know, so that's good. Now we're going to go to the next fun part. I need to get a jingle. I keep saying I need a jingle for each of this segments. This is called turn up or mute.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna mention something, and then you tell me if it's you turn it up.
Okay.
If you like it. All
okay.
Right.
Turn it up or mute?
Yeah.
Okay,
turn
got
up
it.
or mute. Yeah.
I got it.
Fiona Apple.
Turn up.
Turn up. Why?
I love Fiona Apple.
Okay.
I mean, it's funny because sometimes I don't know what artists are actually my influences, if I just think they're influences or if I just think they sound like me. But I listened to a lot of Fiona Apple in my I think it was like college years, maybe high school. But I love her percussive piano playing. Okay. So I have a feeling that she has rubbed off significantly on me.
Nice. I only know one of her songs. I mean, I've listened to her songs, but I can only remember one.
Yeah.
It's called Criminal.
Okay.
I've been a bad
yeah.
I like that song. Yeah. All right. How about apples?
Apples? Oh, turn up. Yeah. I love apples with peanuts and cinnamon. Nice. It's my favorite breakfast.
Yeah. I try to eat an apple every day.
I love it.
Nice. Orange is the new black.
Orange is the new black. Well, okay, I like the fruit orange. But
it's a show.
Oh, it's a show. Yeah. Anything.
No.
So funny. Anything that has anything to do with cultural trends and relevancy to what's happening in the world. Don't ask me because I don't know. Yeah, but I actually forget. Okay. I just remember.
I need to quickly be changing all these things.
Is that the one that happens in the jail cell?
Yes.
Okay, I have heard of it.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about wearing the color orange.
All right, this is gonna reduce our turn up or mute game, but that's fine. How are we doing with time?
We probably got another 5 minutes. Yeah,
okay,
that's great.
All right. How about egusi soup?
Oh, I love egusi soup. I don't eat a lot of it, honestly, but I do. I love it. Nice. I'd have to say, yeah, I like it more than okra soup. Yeah, totally.
I like okra. I don't do egusi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns. Yeah. I'm kind of allergic. It turns my stomach.
Oh.
All right. You must know this person, Chris Brown.
Chris Brown?
Yeah.
Oh, mute. Yeah. Didn't he like beat Rihanna or something?
Joy, you're living in like 7 years ago.
I know. That's all.
You're living in 2000 and 2007.
I don't know anything about the world.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna ask you things that we all should know. How about orange juice with pulp?
I prefer it without pulp, but I don't mind.
Who drinks orange juice with pulp? I've had this argument with a lot of people. I'm like, who buys this?
It's so funny. Honestly, I think the manufacturers are just lazy and they don't want to take the pulp out. Oh, man.
American Idol.
Oh, that was like, so what, 2001?
They still have the show on.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
God.
so past it.
Yeah, you're so past it.
I only watched the first season. That was it. Kelly Clarkson, and
yeah.
ever since.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right, the last one, math.
Yeah. I don't know.
Mathematics.
I'm indifferent. I don't mind. I don't mind math.
Okay, so
Yeah.
turn up. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a mathematician, so
I have to care
I'm
about it
gonna turn
because
it up for you.
yeah.
Turn up. All right. Joy Ike, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
agreeing to
taking
do
the
this.
time out. This is fun.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Later. Yeah, we did it.
That was fun.
No matter what you say, I'm gonna love you anyway. You know you just come and go. People are starting to think that I'm shallow, but you need someone to love you like I do. What you say, I'm gonna love you anyway. You know you just come and go. People are starting to think that I'm shallow, but you need someone. You need someone. You need someone to love you like I do. Oh, 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 I want you, I wait for you, I sit here day after day for you. I want you and I wait for you, I sit here and I pray for you. I want you and I wait for you, I sit here day after day for you. I want you and I wait for you, I sit here and I pray that you have someone. You have someone. You have someone to love you like I do. No matter what you say, I'm gonna love you anyway. You know you just come and go. People are starting to think that I'm shallow. My father says I cannot marry you. Says he forbids me. Says he will ship me back to his land. father says, shame on you for trying to use me. Don't you know she worries that I forget her land? My brother and my sister, they're with me. They say it don't matter as long as I remember my identity. So if you promise you'll never let me forget my land, I will promise I'll never let you forget your land. If what you said the other day is true, then please forgive me. We don't need to worry that we'll forget our land. We will hop a train, we will fly a plane, we will walk all day through every country. We don't need to worry, if this world is our land. Oh no, no, no. So if you promise